they are controlling the border through guns. And those guns are coming from the United States.
The diversity should be our strength, not our weakness. It shouldn't be something that plays to fears and paranoia. Daniel Goldman, a Democratic member of the House of Representatives, recently sounded off on the GOP's border strategy, directly calling them out for the fear-mongering they take part in, while laying out a clear and concise argument as to the problems and the benefits that we see with immigration that was based in facts and data and was really beautiful to watch. As he spoke on the benefits we see with immigrants, how Congress is the one to change and make effects as to the problems we see, not Biden, so Republicans shouldn't be so quick to point fingers, and that the same Republicans pointing fingers are largely the ones creating these issues through voting on bills or defunding things that are the solutions to the problems, just so they can point the finger at the other side. And we'll look at some of these statistics after, but let's see what New York's own Democrat Daniel Goldman had to say about immigration.
Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues and some of the witnesses continue to fearmonger and perpetuate the hateful myth that migrants are criminals, dirty, and stealing American jobs. The reality is, and the data shows, that migrants are far less likely to commit crimes than American citizens. And the jobs that they are looking to take are ones that Americans are not taking. Republicans refuse to admit to a few important facts. Immigrants boost economic activity, promote innovation, and, importantly, when given lawful work authorization, pay hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes.
Okay, real quick for the data on the matter, because it backs up everything he just said. Both legal and undocumented immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than US-born citizens, with undocumented immigrants being far less likely, like twice less likely. And this goes by rate, not totality, so it's not just because there's more US-born citizens. The worry people have about undocumented immigrants coming over here and committing these crimes should correctly be directed to those much more likely to do it, US-born citizens who have been raised in a culture of violence and aggression that promotes such behavior. As to the economic value of immigrants, it's also empirically proven and can't be argued. Not only do 3/4 of Americans think immigrants fill jobs that would otherwise go unwanted, proving there's not really much of a disconnect there, but the value of immigrants raising the labor value for others in the workforce has been documented. And I'll show it here on the screen. From the 90s to 2004, you can see nothing but net benefits in terms of how much others in the workforce are getting paid due to immigrants and foreign-born workers being integrated into the workforce, having a rather positive impact in most Democrats, and actually the only negative impact it has is on other foreign-born workers in the workforce. So the whole GOP narrative built on, they're coming to steal our jobs is false. They're not doing that. That they're lowering your wages by working for less, false. It's not doing that. And that they're coming and committing more crimes than Americans. They're not doing that. It's just playing to the fears and the paranoias to create a narrative that they know will stick. And we'll largely get into some more of those details, but let's continue with the clip where he goes on to discuss how the GOP downplays the actual problems and plays into the real ones.
The mechanism that is available to pay for localities and states to house and support migrants is called the Shelter and Services Program. In H.R. 2, Republicans have zeroed that out. But the White House supplemental appropriations bill includes additional funding for states and localities to pay for this.
So the Shelters and Services Program was an act that enabled immigrants seeking asylum in America to have shelter, food, healthcare, access to their necessities while they awaited the status of their proceedings so they could be legal before they found their ways into the cities, and had to live on the streets and so on and so forth. Republicans voted to completely defund this program, effectively leaving these immigrants nowhere to go but the streets, having them a lot less likely to stay in the system, harder to be found, easier to become an undocumented immigrant that's just disappeared or whatever, the problem that they're trying to point their fingers at. And now they want to blame Biden for this instead of taking accountability. I am so glad that somebody did call them out about this. Republicans are great at doing this exact thing, voting on bills that cause problems and then trying to make the optics seem like, oh, it's the person in power who's not tough enough on these issues or something. Like, no, it's the bills that Congress is voting on that is creating these problems. Like, take responsibility for your actions. I don't know. He goes on to say, and we'll skip over it, but it's important to know, he says that Republicans are voting on a bill that would cut 8% of Homeland Security, and then these are the people who want to talk about border security. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me when you really get into it. Let's go on though, because the last clip here I think perfectly depicts the problem with Republican members of Congress trying to point the finger at Joe Biden rather than taking accountability.
We need work authorization. There's a statutory requirement for asylees to wait 180 days in order to apply for work authorization. The administration cannot change that. Congress can. We need more immigration judges to deal with the backlog of asylum claims. The administration cannot unilaterally do that. Congress must do that, and that is in the White House's supplemental bill. We need to address the cartel's control of the border. And how are they controlling the border? They are controlling the border through guns. And those guns are coming from the United States. We need, as Congress, to address that.
Exactly. This was beautifully put, and if you have your own time, I urge you to watch the full video on Forbes. But first off, it's not only the duty of Congress to enact these changes, not just finger wag and virtue signal about the president, but we're human beings, my guy. Like, we can both solve the issues we're seeing in our own cities and provide asylum to those seeking help without shutting out the people coming here for what made America great in the first place. You know, we don't need to inhumanely shut people out from shelter, work, food, healthcare, just for fear that we might lose what we have. That's not fair to them. It's not striking the humanity in us. It's not us or them. In the wealthiest country in the world, it can and should be both. The xenophobia and hate of immigrants needs to stop and cease in this country. It's just another leg of fascism that should cease to exist here, where equality should be one of the highest things on the forefront and priorities. It's just getting this melting pot of which is America. The diversity should be our strength, not our weakness. You know, it shouldn't be something that plays to fears and paranoia. Because we're becoming more diverse, that's kind of asinine. I don't know, more people coming here and allowing to work, pay taxes, add to the economy, it just benefits us in multiple ways. More people makes for more demands, makes for more jobs that are needed. More jobs makes for more money circulating in the economy, makes for more tax dollars. These are all things that help us, so we should help them by making it easier for them to legally get here, legally work, and legally help the country that they're also seeking help from. That would be beneficial to both parties. But instead, people can't get past this racism. It's really rooted in racism, the prejudice, just the noticing of difference between people because of the color of their skin, where they were raised, or their culture. Just cultural differences are wider than some canyons that we have in this country. And I wish that I wish that it couldn't be said about America, but it's crazy. Like, we get rid of some of the race issues here, but the cultural issues are still strong. And that's something that should be addressed. And especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, what better month than to address it than now, you know? I don't get the mindset. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that can interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video, because the only way we become a society is together.